7 News on your side at 4 starts now. We begin with a breaking news alert.
Breaking news right at 4 o'clock this evening. Now in the Van Ness section of Northwest Washington. Take a look at this map right here, where D.C. police say at least 2 people have been shot.
And it's like a Christmas tree. I mean, there are lights everywhere. We have been watching these emergency vehicles fly by here. At this point, this seems to be about as close as we're going to get right now.
Breaking right now at 11, a hail of gunfire in Northwest D.C. People fleeing for safety.
A bunch of us just got out of the building and ran.
Students trapped in schools while parents wait anxiously.
It would have been so bad. This is when they were all being dismissed.
Residents evacuated from their buildings.
A neighborhood in shock.
Today, evil reared its ugly head.
7 News is there now as the investigation develops.
And breaking tonight, that lockdown in the district is now lifted. In just the last 90 minutes, D.C. police announced a shooting suspect was found dead, and this all comes after a chaotic day played out in D.C.
A hail of gunfire locking down 2 neighborhoods and multiple schools. 4 people were shot, and police believe this was random. We want to emphasize police would not identify the suspect that they found dead.
Yeah, and we want to show you this. This is who they were looking for earlier. This is 23-year-old Raymond Spencer of Fairfax. Just 2 hours ago, police told us they identified him using posts on the internet. He apparently posted a video on 4chan during the shooting, and we do have to warn you, it might be disturbing.
And we are following breaking news happening right now. Take a look here from SkyTrack 7. You can see smoke and flames coming from this large apartment building.
And that the exact moment of that huge explosion.
What happened here, too early to know, but clearly there is a suspicion that this was a gas explosion. And we have learned from multiple sources that inside the building there was a maintenance man doing some work.
7 News was there as Talton Hall marched to this ride-on bus, shouting his mother's name out loud. Hall's mother, who's 78 and on oxygen, lives in the building that exploded. Watch as Hall burst into tears after fire rescue crews told him his mother was alive and uninjured. Hall, who works at the Ellipse for the National Park Service, then collapsed into the arms of a police officer.
So while you were sleeping, 7 News producers took several calls from people who say they've been stuck on I-95 since as early as 1 yesterday afternoon, some even earlier. And this all started because of several jackknife tractor trailers on the highway. And they've been without food, without water, no bathrooms, many of them now running out of gas.
And VDOT actually put out their first statement on the situation, saying I-95 is closed for 33 miles.
Many people in this gridlock are saying they're starting to run out of gas. Some people have run out of gas, so there's disabled vehicles that just can't move even if they do get traffic up and moving. Some people say they've been in their car for so long they don't have any more water, they don't have any food.
I'm concerned that they've had to turn off the car to conserve energy because, you know, it's only on half tank of fuel. So they're bundling up and sleeping in, you know, sub-freezing weather.
From Monday evening into Tuesday, Interstate 95 was backed up from Ruther Glen exit to Fairfax County Parkway exit. That's a 64-mile stretch. To put this into perspective, that's more than half of the width of the state of Maryland, the length of more than 18,700 long bed pickup trucks, the length of more than 4,600 18-wheel semi-trucks, and the length of 32 national malls.
That was really surprising. You have all these cars and, you know, they keep saying we're assisting. You're not assisting. You're not doing a thing. It's just surprising no one checked on anybody.
Right now at 6, Roe versus Wade overturned. 7 News on your side. Team coverage tonight tracking a tidal wave of anger.
Forced motherhood is illegitimate.
And elation.
This is a moment 50 years in the making.
One protester going to extremes, and Virginia's governor promising to enact change immediately. Breaking now, 7 News is tracking reaction and the impact after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Protesters have been outside the High Court all day. This is a live look there. And On the other side of your screen on the left, that is a live look from a protest happening now in Boston.
Today's ruling states that abortions are not a constitutional right, and it puts the decision now back on the individual states. So here's a look now how the justices ruled. 5 of the conservative justices overturning Roe v. Wade and Chief Justice John Roberts dissenting.
Now, with Roe gone, let's be very clear. The health and life of women in this nation are now at risk.
President Biden is vowing to protect women's rights to travel from states that ban abortion to those that allow it. The president is also pledging to protect women's access to medications and contraception.
Now, 7 News is on your side with live team coverage here at 6 o'clock on the impact in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia.
That breaking news tonight, a plane dangling 100 feet in the air for hours now after plowing into power lines in Montgomery County. Now, at this hour, the pilot and the passenger are still trapped in that plane, and first responders say a rescue could go into the night. Now, this is all happening not far from Montgomery County Air Park in Gaithersburg. That's where the plane was attempting to land.
If you are within this area that we have shaded into Prince George's County, into the lowest level of your house, you're going to want to get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. We have very strong winds. We got hail. And, of course, we have that potential for rotation that is there. So we're going to look at that. First of all, if you're just joining us, let me widen this out. D.C. Metro here, off to the left-hand side. Capitol Beltway is right there. We're talking east of the Capitol Beltway through parts of northern, central and northern Prince George's County, moving its way down into basically central and then eventually into southern parts of Anne Arundel County. Okay, so that's the radar. The motion as we look at this, I'm going to put this over the last 30 minutes, and you can see the general movement from the northwest off to the southeast, and it's racing along 25 to 30 miles per hour. So it's going to pick up rather quickly. And notice out ahead of it, too, there's another cell that has developed here near Deal, heading towards Shadyside. So Shadyside, Queen Anne, Bowie, Selby on the Bay. You're not, some of you aren't in the actual warning at this time, but I want you to be aware that this is heading your way.
Covering the crisis in the classroom tonight, and this week a debate has been underway over Governor Youngkin's proposed history standards. These standards would impact how students learn history in Virginia public schools for the next 7 years. Nick Maddock has the latest, all new at 5.
I'm not sure where we're going from here.
Virginia Board of Education President Daniel Gacker expressed concerns about Governor Glenn Youngkin's administration's draft proposal for history curriculum standards. The concerns were echoed from Richmond.
I can go on and on about what's deleted.
To Loudoun County.
Included in our standards, Columbus Day. One who have been federally disapproved. We celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day.
The Loudoun County branch of the NAACP held a news conference in Ashburn as the Board of Education reviewed the proposal in Richmond.
Any history regarding Dr. King or MLK Day was deleted from the history context. That is abominable. Deleted from our standards is any mention of Doug Wilder.
7 News checked, and Doug Wilder and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. are included in the history curriculum proposal. 7 News pointed that out in the news conference.
Anybody else that has a legitimate
Would you
question?
like to answer my one question, though?
I'm not answering anything
which
from
is there something that is not in the curriculum
so much.
that you would like to see included?
Yes.
That's a fair question.
Oh, that is a fair question. There are many things that I would like to see in this curriculum. More inclusive information about the success of African American, the accomplishments of African Americans. Those things are important.
Some parents feel he's not at all qualified for the job. Tonight, only on 7 News, our Heather Graff went to Greene County to speak with the controversial candidate one-on-one.
The Greene County Administration Building in Standardsville, Virginia, is where we caught up with Mark Taylor on Tuesday.
Now, you have no background in public education, so I want to ask you, what do you think makes you qualified to be a superintendent of a school system?
Certainly, thirst for truth.
He's the current county administrator here, but the Spotsylvania County School Board wants to hire him as superintendent, despite concerns that were on full display at last night's school board meeting.
Mark Taylor's appointment for school superintendent must be rescinded and denied.
Some parents pointing to Taylor's lack of experience in education and saying he's just not qualified for the superintendent job.
I have no idea what the numbers are, speaking either for or against my taking the position. But I do know that at the end of the day, the appointing authority is the elected school board, and the decision really is theirs.
How long have you known Mr. Twigg, the board chairman?
I have known, first of all, I've known Mrs. Twigg, my wife, known the Twiggs back to, 2005.
Is he a friend of yours?
He is it's fair to call him a social acquaintance.
Taylor did acknowledge he and his wife have been serving as board members on a nonprofit run by the family of school board chairman Kirk Twigg, but said the position never involved financial payments.
It's not a conflict of interest under Virginia law. It never has been a conflict of interest under Virginia law. It is, clearly, from what I can see in the news and have heard of it, a distraction. So in the interest of removing the distraction, I have resigned from the Emerging Stars board.
I still have the floor.
As for the deeply divided school board that he could soon be working for, Taylor insists that is where some of his past work experience will prove beneficial.
Much of my professional work has been devoted to serving deeply divided boards. I think I can help them. I want to help them.
Parents also part of that equation, though. You said earlier that you feel strongly parents should have a voice in their child's education. Well, what do you say to those parents who say your hiring is not listening to their voice?
Give me a chance.
That I don't want anything to be left undone. That'd be a hard thing to face if something bad happened.
D.C. Fire Chief John Donnelly says he had to act after we dug through 5 years of D.C. schools' own safety records showing most schools failed to do the monthly fire drills needed to meet city fire code.
For the schools, because of what you did, or because of the report, we've issued notice of violations 31 times to schools that were lagging, and I'm happy to say in February they're all compliant.
Those 31 violations were sent to some of the same schools we highlighted. That includes Bancroft Elementary, which was cited because its last fire drill was documented in October 2019. Along with the fire drill failures, schools are cited for dozens of still unfixed hazards. Blocked exits and missing fire extinguishers are flagged in Cardozo High School. Propane permits and securing compressed gas containers remain problems at H.D. Cook Elementary. And on March 15th of this year, the Patterson Education Campus was reminded its fire evacuation plans are not complete.
Do you think your office's oversight has been adequate?
Yeah, I do.
How can you justify that given the records?
We are in the schools the way we're supposed to be. We look for problems. When we find them, we work with them to correct them.
Each of the 31 citations sent to schools in March say drills must be done and fire hazards fixed, or fines may follow. The chief says his goal is safety, not fining schools.
We are striving to meet the strictest code that exists.
Is it okay if a school doesn't perform a fire drill every month?
I wouldn't say that, no. We want them to. That's absolutely what we want them to do.
Is there a consequence if they don't?
I think this is the consequence, right?
Our interview also included questions about discrepancies in school fire reporting records. Some schools documented fire drills during winter break or spring break. Others said they did a fire drill in the middle of the pandemic.
Schools logging drills during winter break?
Yeah.
They're logging during the COVID shutdown?
So
they're saying they did these drills.
When you brought those up, we went back and looked and actually found a few more. And we were now, as part of the checking process, making sure that they occur when students are actually in school.
Trucks over here, way back over there, semis and pickups, and flags everywhere. The general message is Trump is good, Biden is bad. It has the atmosphere of a carnival or county fair, and some, like Jimmy Fletcher, have been with it since they left California over a week ago.
Biggest thing about it is it's the mandates, it's the freedom. We need our Constitution restored, and we need our freedom from across the nation.
Here in Red Hagerstown, they're mainly receiving a friendly reception. Some brought them bottled water.
We're welcoming the truckers here to our community. Of course, I'm the delegate right here in Washington County.
Our locals like Gina Draper.
After 2 years, everybody's so depressed and angry.
2 years of what?
Just everybody being cooped up in their houses and wearing masks.
The organizers of this People's Convoy insists it's not about politics, despite the signs.
There's gay and straight, there's left and right, there's vaxxed and unvaxxed.
But about freedom, she says, from government-imposed restrictions that revolve around COVID-19.
The cure was worse than the disease. You know, suicide rates through the roof, divorce rates through the roof.
Oh yes, are they coming to D.C.?
If we change our minds, we'll let you know. But as of right now, no, we're not going.
And when they heard a trucker was organizing a run for D.C. at 3 o'clock...
That is not the People's Convoy. We are not advocating that message. We just sent security out there to stop it.
Her comment to me after January 6th, nobody should come to D.C. So the answer is, I don't know if they're coming or they're going to just stay here in Hagerstown.
Back now to our coverage of the insurrection 1 year later. We know the events of January 6, 2021 evoke a lot of emotion, but we can't forget they're also an important part of this country's history.
And 7 News' Heather Graff joins us live. She's outside the Capitol now with the Smithsonian's plan to document that day. And Heather, I know they're still far from finished.
Well, that's right, Allison and Dave. It's a process that will likely continue for years. But tonight we are able to give you a glimpse into what they've gathered so far and tell you why certain items were chosen. As the district digs out from this week's snowstorm, curators with the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History are digging through their collection.
It's a story of people.
Inviting us inside to see some of the many items they've preserved over the last year.
When you hear January 6th, you have your own still images that flash through your own mind.
Images and artifacts from the day insurrectionists stormed the U.S. Capitol as members of Congress were certifying results of the presidential election.
We did a lot of rapid response collecting on January 7th, and we collected things that day that had been discarded.
The museum's effort to document the events of January 6, 2021 and its larger impact on American democracy began the very next morning, when their team deployed to the National Mall, picking up posters and Stop the Steal signs left behind by the violent crowd.
These two large metal signs, which were found bolted onto street poles, a lot of effort went into these signs.
And in the months that followed, the collection process has continued through word of mouth.
A young emerging freelance photographer who had been attacked on January 6th, specifically for taking photographs.
Shannon Parrish is a curator in the photographic history collection and chose to save this photojournalist's bulletproof vest when she heard the story behind it.
A woman approached her and was screaming, "The photographing our faces." That was a verbal attack, and then she was punched, and she felt a punch on her left hip, and when she turned around, she saw that the woman was holding a knife. She realized that her protective vest had actually been ripped. So there's about a 1-inch rip here in the Kevlar.
The photographer was not injured, but Parrish believes the damaged vest provides a powerful illustration.
The idea that photojournalists have to wear military-grade protective gear to bring us the real stories is a potent message that we need to ensure that we've recorded.
The announcement came from the Associated Press, and it was expected not long after the polls closed that Wes Murrow was projected to become the next governor of Maryland, the first African-American governor of Maryland. And that is significant. Tonight we have House Speaker Adrienne Jones, also an African-American. All of the statewide positions this year held either by people of color or women. Look, we had an opportunity to talk to Wes Moore earlier today. He will be making a speech in a little bit, but anticipating this, I asked him, how will he govern? What can the people expect from him, particularly now that Democrats have control of the second floor of the State House, the House, and the Senate? Here's what he had to say.
I think one thing people will learn from me is how I've always led in my life is I lead by coalitions. And when people see the coalition that we've built even for our campaign, this is the broadest and most diverse coalition that this state has ever seen.
Breaking right now. Dan Snyder possibly selling the Commanders? 7 News on your side with team coverage.
Rampant speculation tonight after the team says it's exploring potential transactions.
A teenager arrested in the shooting of Commanders player Brian Robinson Jr. And strong words from the chief about the violence. plus tainted baby food.
These are potent neurotoxins that have no business in a human body.
After years of I-Team reporting why major brands could finally be forced to explain why it's still on store shelves.
First at 6, that breaking news about the Washington Commanders and new clues the team could be sold.
So what do you think? Is it time for Dan Snyder to sell the Commanders? You can go to our website, WJLA.com/vote now and weigh in.
Tonight, we're on your side with live team coverage. 7 News' Brad Bell is live at FedEx Field in Landover with new reaction from the Prince George's County executive.
Let's start it off, though, with our team coverage with sports anchor Scott Abraham. He's live in Ashburn. And, Scott, you have new information just in from ESPN.
Yeah, Jonathan, just minutes ago, ESPN reporting that there's allegations right now that the Washington Commanders engaged in financial improprieties. The U.S. Attorney's Office opening up a criminal investigation into the Commanders. This is a developing story. We'll have more information throughout the night on all of our digital platforms and, of course, right here on 7 News. This coming after the Snyder family announcing earlier in the day that they have partnered with Bank of America for potential transactions. Now, what does this mean? According to a team spokesperson, everything is on the table, including potentially selling off the franchise or bringing on a minority owner.
A groundbreaking case is moving to trial alleging some of the country's leading baby food makers knowingly sell products containing dangerous toxins.
Senior investigative reporter Lisa Fletcher, she broke many of the elements of this story, as we know, with her investigations over the years. She joins us now with a major update on this.
Right, Jonathan and Michelle, this case may answer some very disturbing questions, many of which we've raised over the years, over exactly what the industry and the FDA did or did not know about baby food products containing heavy metals. The attorneys in discovery tell us they will now have access to things like internal emails, test results, and communications with regulators.
Contaminants in trusted baby food. It's made headlines, got the attention of Congress, even raised alarms among leading scientists. But never before has industry been forced to explain to a jury why these products remain on the shelves. Until now.
The data is truly overwhelming here. We're talking about toxic heavy metals, lead, mercury, and arsenic. These are well-known potent neurotoxins that have no business in a human body.
Attorney Pedro Misfandieri is the architect of this legal battle, taking on an army of industry Goliaths, including Gerber, Walmart, and Beechnut, claiming the toxins may be impacting generations of children.
Throughout the years, there's been study after human study demonstrating that the way in which these metals interact with the human brain can directly cause autism and ADHD. And this is the first time that we'll get to explore this issue in litigation as it relates to baby foods, which is shocking.
For years, we've been the first to expose troubling discoveries around this issue. We found the scientists who warned both the FDA and industry in 2016 of toxins in the food, yet nothing meaningful was done.
We said, well, you have a problem. They said, well, no, we don't. So, well, no, here's objective third-party data showing that you have a problem. They're like, no, we don't. We have the highest quality product. Well, yeah, well, we tested the whole industry, and objectively, no, you don't.
Congress didn't ignore those scientists, whose findings were used in 2 hearings led by Representative Raja Krishnamurthy that led to scathing reports on the baby food industry.
We're picking as much as you can today, right?
Annie Roush-Gurnett never imagined that her entire driveway in Mount Airy, Maryland, would serve as a gateway of hope for her war-ravaged homeland.
At least if we can help with this, it will help them to survive and hold on.
This 37-year-old businesswoman who grew up in Ukraine recently organized a massive aid drive in response to the humanitarian crisis erupting in Eastern Europe.
And my heart is still there, so it's hurt me so much. My people and Ukrainians are gonna be hurt.
For Annie, this is deeply personal. Countless friends and family, including her 83-year-old grandmother, are in harm's way.
They've been hiding in the basements. It's really difficult to hear that they spend nights outside.
Hunkering down if and when the fight comes to them.
They are Ukrainians. They don't run. Nope.
This drive began with a simple Amazon wish list, requesting everything from medical supplies for wounded soldiers It's a non-perishable food for fleeing families.
We have a lot of stuff for babies, formulas, diapers, baby clothes, hygiene products.
But she never expected this. In less than 48 hours, more than 4,000 packages landed on her porch. She and 100 friends then spent an entire weekend culling and boxing up more than 50,000 pounds of goods.
It brought me to tears, and it's really, I'm really thankful, to everyone.
And 7 News On Your Side was there for a critical step in this process.
So here's the 67 pallets.
When employees of O'Sullivan Tree Care out of New York volunteered their time and their tractor trailers to load up items now bound for aid organizations in Poland and Ukraine.
I wish someday we can smile and laugh, but at this moment, probably not.
Annie's already planning her next relief drive from her driveway so that one day she can return to the beloved fertile plains and plateaus of her homeland to smile and laugh once again.
October 3rd, 1947.
Our first broadcast that night was a Georgetown football game.
From WJLA's first broadcast until now.
Welcome to Community 7. In the 80s, 7's best.
News 7 tonight. Paul Berry with 7 on your side.
A legacy of excellence for 75 years. This is a 7 News special. 75 years on your side.
What an incredible milestone. 7 News on the air for 75 years now. Thanks for joining us. I'm Allison Starling.
I'm Michelle Marsh.
I'm Dave Lucas.
I'm Jonathan Elias.
And I'm Melanie Hastings. For months, we've scoured our archives looking through tapes, film, photos, and more.
It's an effort that has paid off, and you'll see it over the next hour.
We're going to highlight some of the most impactful stories, specials, and investigations from the past.
And we're going to visit with many familiar faces, people you'll remember from our 7 News family over the years. So let's begin by taking a journey through time with a look at the station's history.
October 3rd, 1947, a test pattern went up, and Channel 7 was on the air. WMAL, as it was known back then, was the 14th TV station in the country. First broadcast, a Georgetown football game.
She was the front runner in allowing voices to be heard of people of color.
My father's story is everyone's story. Everyone sets off to make something of their life.
I'm really proud to see our Metropolitan Police officers stepping up every day and coming here to make this city a safer city.
You have no idea what Oprah is going to do to your business. So we didn't have enough tape, we didn't have enough boxes, there's not enough packing peanuts.
It healed something inside of me that I didn't even know needed to be healed.
It's been 70 years. How long this is going to take to bring justice to Henrietta?
We're all the same, and we should be treated the same. He always believed in to do unto others as you want done unto you.
This is a 7 News special. Black history, past and present.
Black history is American history, and 7 News is committed to bringing you important stories about Black history, past and present, throughout the year. I'm Adriana Hopkins.
This is a 7 News drone special, Above and Beyond.
Well, what an incredible sight this is. We are right outside of Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, overlooking the Potomac River. And we welcome you in today to our inaugural 7 News drone special, Above and Beyond. I'm 7 News meteorologist Eileen Whalen, and we are so excited to be able to show you some of the best aerial shots from this past year. As a meteorologist with the First Alert Weather Team, these shots are able to give us a better view and are able to provide a better forecast for you at home. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the views from above and beyond.
This year, you've shown 7 News you're on our side in the community, helping our neighbors in need when they need it most, making holiday wishes come true with Toys for Tots.
Open that truck!
Donating to help fight hunger with our Feeding the DMV food drives.
100 pounds of pasta here today.
Supporting needy children to get school supplies with Operation Backpack.
It has been so successful this year.
Thank you for being on our side. No, we are always on yours.
He's a turkey with an attitude, and he's been the bane of walkers, joggers, and bikers on the Anacostia River Trail for months.
He attacked me, and I ran faster, and he followed me.
He had chased me about a good 300-400 yards.
It looked at me, and I looked at it, and it chased me.
So I turned around to run, and he lunged again and packed me on my butt.
He's gotten people on both sides of the D.C.-Maryland line. Prince George's County Parks and Rec put up this sign to discourage people from approaching him.
I mean, some people don't listen. They try to go up to him and take pictures and stuff like that. Like, why would you try to take a picture and attack you?
Turkey attacks them when they take pictures?
Yeah.
He's even gotten the attention of the Catholic U rowing teams.
Out of the darkness, we hear.
And it's the creepiest thing.
He jumped in the air and he almost clawed my face. So he kind of knocked me off the bike and literally chased me around for like 5 minutes.
Day Fularin, a singer with Rare Essence Band, says as he rode through on his bike April 12th, the bird got him, then went for this woman, which Fularin videoed.
He turned his sights on the young lady on the other bike. And needless to say, that's when I pulled my phone out and I started recording.
Can you help?
He said he had to beat it off with a stick. Does he still ride through?
I've been prepping myself for the next turkey attack week, so I've been pretty much riding around with a small hatchet and a turkey baster.
This year, 7 News marks 75 years
of being on your side
through every season and milestone.
7 News has been here,
helping you navigate life's challenges.
Now more than ever, committed to being on your side.
For 75 years, a trusted local voice.
And while the faces have changed,
and how you watch us has changed too.
What's never changed
is our commitment to serving you.
This is what it means to be on your side.
To be invested in our local community for 75 years.
And we'll be here for the next 75.
Our volunteers have started to gather the produce that's been donated at the Fresh Farm Market at DuPont Circle, and this is just the beginning. Wait till you see it's going to grow and grow.
Okay, you could come on through, man.
Outside Columbia Heights Village Apartments in Northwest Washington,
Hi, Miss Ann. How you doing today?
Residents like Aisha Wilson ponder their options on Food Distribution Day.
Oh, give me some bread. Yes, ma'am.
Aisha Wilson has endured a lot these past couple years.
I'm in between jobs myself right now, so actually this fresh food today is really coming in handy. I really appreciate it.
This is every week we get these goodies.
For 90-year-old Virginia Murrow, what she takes home will sustain her for days.
Can I have this too?
To understand how all this fresh food got here, we sat down with the person primarily responsible, Kate Urbank with Food Rescue US.
We've rescued 7 million meals, and that accounts to about 8.5 million pounds of food.
This nonprofit's innovative approach to tackling hunger involves volunteers rescuing and distributing perfectly good food to those in need before it's thrown away by grocery stores, restaurants, and corporate cafeterias.
There are statistics that say between 30 and 40% of food is wasted, and when we have a food insecurity problem in the United States, that's absurd.
According to ReFed, the United States wasted 35% of food produced in 2019. That's 160 billion pounds of unsold and uneaten food cast aside, costing farmers, grocers, and consumers more than $200 billion.
Right now, I'm separating through our meats.
Food Rescue US partners with supermarkets like Wegmans, where Angelica Buckman works.
It feels great. I mean, nobody likes to throw away food. We give with love, and we hope it's accepted with love.
Moments after she packs up food otherwise destined for a landfill,
there's a lot here.
Volunteer Glenn Romero swoops in, loads up, and heads off to Columbia Heights Village.
I was shocked at how much food I put in the back of my truck.
Only 20 minutes later, we hear from a grateful Miss Murrow.
And I didn't have nothing in my fridge, so I'm blessed.
It's a match game, really.
This entire process from pickup to delivery is coordinated through a proprietary app ensuring short drive times so nothing spoils. And some of Burbank's top food providers are Washington institutions.
All right, let me put this inside.
Like the Sodexo cafeteria at the National Geographic Society.
I don't like food waste because we know in Washington, D.C. what the world is going through.
It's easy to see why a global outfit like National Geographic supports this program when one of their missions is protecting the wonders of the world.
That's what we're all about, inspiring people to, care about their planet, learn, educate, and make changes.
Aramark executive chef Steve Hoy at Capital One Arena also goes out of his way to provide.
This might be their only meal of the day. For me, that's something important to know that I'm giving back to the community.
The car is completely filled with boxes.
Volunteer Janet Fershine then takes the short trip to Central Union Mission, where she's greeted by Chef Rick Snyder.
How's it looking? It looks beautiful. This is good stuff.
It's very hard being on the street. It's dehumanizing being a homeless person. So anything we can do here to give a person a sense of love and dignity and respect, we're going to do it. And oftentimes that begins with a meal.
If something tastes better when it's warm, we try to do that. It's 15 per tray. You got pastries. They really like the pastries.
Glenn Webb resides at Central Union Mission. He also works in the kitchen.
It's very encouraging to me to see the amount of donations that come in every day, because it tells me that there are still people in this world who have a heart.
I'm glad we got people, things and places that people care that want to help someone.
For resident Willie Wiggins, the path of compassion traveled by so many from farm to fork boils down to one ingredient.
Well, it's good to know that we have a mission that wants to show you that people do love you, that you can come and get a nice good food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner from love.
Wiggins reminds us that there are few human qualities as transcendent as empathy. Which brings us to the DuPont Circle Farmers Market.
So we're really looking at food systems from start to finish.
Danielle Antone works for Fresh Farm, a nonprofit that manages dozens of farmers markets across the region.
So we're able to close that loop on recovery and increase access to communities in need.
We have a lot of fresh lettuce, some salad greens, kale bunches. We got 23.41 altogether. I don't want it to go to waste. There's people in need. It just makes sense to do it.
It's heavy.
At the end of each weekly market, food rescue volunteers hustle to see who has leftovers, gathering boxes and bags stuffed with garden-fresh produce.
Someone will be eating all the vitamins.
No longer destined for the trash.
Oh, it's the most beautiful food in the whole city that they're donating to people in need. It's amazing.
Then a handful of groups that work directly with food insecure families pull up and pack up all these healthy choices.
It's the difference between food in a can and fresh food that is delicious.
The amount of food gathered on this day allows Kate Burbank to reflect not only on this bounty, but the wisdom of a man who understands the power of kindness.
One of the folks we interviewed earlier this week talked about food being love, and I think about that and I look at this and it really is love.
I'm Jay Korf for 7 News.